Hi, welcome to the Retirement Railroad Matinee Modeling Tip of the Day. I'm Steve, and today I want to get back to and continue with my series on JMRI. You may recall I've gone through Panel Pro, which is what I use to do virtually all of my locomotive decoder programming. Simple, easy, effective, much less confusing to use. Of course, to utilize JMRI, you have to have it connected to your railroad. I run Digitrax, so there's a module called PR4 that's a USB connect to your computer. And the connection process, other than the physical wire, the programming process is easy. You pick the COM port and it connects, away you go. All right, it's that simple. But once you have JMRI installed on your computer and you have it connected to your layout, it's such a powerful tool. It'll do so many things, and I'm not a computer whiz. I'm just an old retired guy playing with his trains. All right, and even I can figure this stuff out. So it's not that hard. So I've got JMRI connected to my layout. I have JMRI has a Y throttle connection process, and so you can use Engine Driver or Y throttle on an iPhone and use those to run your trains connected through JMRI. I've done that, so I can run my old Android phone that became obsolete, 10 years ago maybe? Use it as my throttle to run my trains with, because it's connected through JMRI. Simple, easy process, again, there that I'm not going to get into. Today, one of my ultimate goals was to be able to have a layout diagram up on my 47-inch TV, which is behind this camera. I'll give you a quick shot of it. All right, there it is up there. Make it like that. There you go. Have a diagram on that TV that's a quick reference as to not only the layout diagram, but also if it's interactive and tied in to your layout, what status any switch is. I've got some challenging locations here on the Retirement Railroad that I have to lean over to look at. And once I get more scenery, especially in Chicago and some of the buildings thrown, I may not be able to lean over to look at without taking a bunch of stuff down. So having the diagram that shows the status of the switches is important to me. In addition to that, it would be nice to be able to throw the switches from that diagram. And in addition, be able to do so from the other side of the room. I don't have to sit here at my workspace, my programming desk, dispatcher's desk, if you will, and throw them on my touchscreen monitor, all right, or with a mouse. So thus I have a remote mouse where I can be on the other side of the layout, and I use this already for my graphics program, Matinee, to be able to switch back and forth from different cameras when I'm over there. So that was my goal. Well, JMRI has a module called Panel Pro. Okay? And Panel Pro is a very, very powerful tool. I got into it a little bit about operations, where I started entering all of my rolling stock into JMRI, and what we're talking about there is what type, if it's 40-foot boxcar, how long is it? Not 40 feet, actually 43. And you enter the locations on the railroad, and you locate your rolling stock to those locations, because during an operations module for JMRI, it'll print you off. You set up routes. All right, JMRI will figure out what cars have to go where based upon the route you set, and it'll read that this industry over there needs a reefer, an empty reefer. This full tanker car needs to go to Aurora engine facility from the refinery. It'll do all that and print out lists based by train, all right, or route. So, and it becomes more random and really adds some flavor to operations on the layout. I haven't gotten that far. I have located all my rolling stock. I do have all my phase 1 locations in and what rolling stock is in those locations, although I've been messing around and a lot of it will have to be relocated, and that's not a big deal. So, and I dwelled on that in an earlier JMRI tip of the day. Today, I want to focus on inputting the turnouts into JMRI. All of my turnouts have a DCC address, and you can do that in a number of different ways. Different systems, whether it's Digitrax, NEC, NCE, whatever, have different methodologies to give a DCC address to a turnout. All right. I use Smales, which is a tortoise switch machine with a DCC decoder in it, and all of my turnouts, with the exception of 10 that I still have to wire up, or not wire up, add the switch machines to, have Smales in them, and they're addressed. So the first thing I had to do is input those turnouts into a table. All right? So let me show you what we have in that regard. All right, we'll come over here to Panel Pro, and we're going to go to Tools, Tables, Turnouts. All right, and we will we will change this over to desktop. Display 2, and we will move this table over here. So now you can see this table, all right? And it has, and I'll try to make this a little bit bigger. That's a view. Okay, we don't want that. We'll make this a little bigger. All right, so here you have all of my switch machines entered, and they'll have a number, and the LT simply stands for LocoNet Turnout. That's Digitrax, okay? NEC may give a different. The number is the actual DCC address for each one of my Smales. And I do have a numbering configuration set up, and so you will see some numbers that may be missing. Like there's nothing between 45 and 49 yet. Okay, I still have the expansion, the Aurora Eola expansion to finish with switch machines. So, and they'll get entered at that point in time. So this is the table. How do you add? You simply go down there to the lower left where it says Add. Click on it. It brings up this next little window. All right. And with that window, okay, notice it says LocoNet. And then I give it an address. And if I wanted to add 46 as an example, because I don't have a 46, and I'm going to call that Aurora Eola classification 1. And then hit create. And there you have it. Aurora Eola classification 1. It doesn't have the status of the switch because it doesn't exist yet in actuality. And I do have the ability to delete it or invert it. Now, one of the things about SMAILs are the default on them is not polarity sensitive. So as you set this up and you hit closed, closed may be the open position. Open may be closed position, depending on how you have the switch and depending how you mounted the switch in one underneath the points or underneath the frog. Okay, so you have the ability to invert it here. Okay, there's another place where you can invert a switch, but you cannot do it in both places. If you do it in both places, it'll error out all of your JMRI, and anything you haven't saved, all right, will be lost. Now keep in mind, you want to save often. Except here, they don't call it saved. They call it stored. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this 46 because I don't have it yet. And on the other screen, yes, okay, there it goes. Poof, gone. But to store it, you would simply come up to where it says File and Store. Now, you can store the configuration, or you can store the configuration and the panel that it is linked to. Okay? Right when you start, it won't be linked to a panel. But once you start your track diagram, it'll be linked to a panel, and you'll want to store both. All right? So, with that, let's go back, and the other part of JMRI is to load, show the panel. Okay, now there is the panel I've created for phase 1 of my railroad. Okay. And to put a switch in, you simply go up here and we're going to do, let's say, a left-hand switch. Okay? And we're going to do the Aurora inner to Eola Yard. That's the switch I'm going to locate. All right, that's a left-hand switch. And you hold the shift key down. Took me a while to figure that out. And left click. And there's the switch. Okay. To locate that, I just right click in the circle and drag it over and marry up those red spots the way I want them. Now if I wanted to rotate it, I just would have come down here and done a rotate. Okay, but I don't need to rotate this one. So that's all there is to locating a switch. And you exercise the switch once, it's showing it going straight. Okay. Now, is the actual switch that way? No, the switch is actually thrown. So, we need to go back into that table. And need to go back into the turnout table and take that switch, which is, I gotta find it now. It's Aurora expansion. Aurora Aurora Inner to Eola Yard. Okay, so we're going to want to hit that, invert it. Okay, now we should be able to come back, exercise it. Now it's showing it going straight. Let's take a look. And it is in fact going straight now. So that is how you invert the switch. All right, so let's take that switch we just had and we'll throw it remotely. There it is. And you may even be able to hear the switch machine exercising, because I'm standing next to it, I hear it. Okay, so there you have it. JMRI Panel Pro with turnout controls. All right, and that I can do remotely. So with that, all right. With that, I want to thank you for joining me here at the Retirement Railroad Matinee Modeling Tip of the Day. I'm Steve, and y'all have a great day. Bye now.